Hey crafty cuties, welcome back to Paper Terrace. If you're new, I'm Jessica, and today we're going to be working on the mask making journals, and this is going to be the step where I am kind of finalizing and making any of the tassels, and then I'm working on tabs. For some journal releases, I will use lace on the edges of the pages, but for this one I thought it would be really fun to decorate some tabs. So for the mask making version of journal making, I like to, I've mentioned before, do more of an assembly line kind of style, and so you'll see that I have lots of different piles of little snippets of fabrics and laces. You can see some of them at least, and these are piles of 30 because I am decorating 30 journals, or a little less, but I'm also making some extra like a journal page kits, I guess. And so anyways, so I have a bunch of, I think there's 10 different piles here, and I thought it would just be fun to decorate a few with you, and then we'll also do a tassel together, even though I've made tons of videos making tassels, but why not? So I thought it would be fun, instead of just having these be tabs, I thought it would be fun to also decorate some of them, especially like the the plain colored ones where I used muslin fabric. So I'm going to grab this pile and we're just going to do a couple together. And I'm thinking we can decorate with buttons, we could decorate with like little pins and other pieces of lace. And so for this one I also have some hot glue. I just thought that would work a little bit better because it's going to be really time consuming to sew on buttons for all of these. So for this one I'm actually going to start by adding a little line of hot glue. I also like hot glue for lace, and then I'm just gonna lay that down like this. And I guess I should also tell you, if you're curious, I really am just using scraps of fabric, or I'll cut down bigger pieces of fabric, and I don't really measure, but just to give you an idea, for instance, this one is about 4 inches by almost 3, and if you can imagine, when it's done, I'm gonna fold it in half and it will look like this on one of the pages, and I'm going to be probably sewing them on. I haven't decided yet exactly how I'll be putting them on, but let's go ahead and put a button on this one. And again, since I will be folding these in half, I will want to keep in mind like the placement. So I'm going to use maybe some more colorful, or something with like a darker color would look good. So like I said, I'll probably just kind of fold it in half while I'm putting it together, and then kind of keep in mind I'll probably want the buttons to be more on the edge where it's going to be kind of visible. So just put one right there, and let's grab another. A lot of these buttons are pretty big. I want to do some smaller buttons, I think. You know, I'm not actually liking it with the lace, to be quite honest. So let's put that one aside. I'll put it back in its own pile. Let me try just buttons by itself. Yeah, I like that better. And I could also do lace going like the other way, which actually I can already tell I think I would like that better. So let me try to bring you in a bit. It's another like 100-degree day, so I can't exactly have all of my windows open today, which makes it a little bit tricky for filming, but I thought we could just make it work. Okay, so I'm gonna put that down like that. I'll trim some of the lace as well, and I think I'll just place one there, and I totally trust hot glue on for buttons. I think if I were making less journals, maybe just working on one or something, I would totally actually sew the buttons on, but I still think you get a good effect anyways. And then once that hot glue dries, I'll probably kind of get some of the strings and stuff off there, but I mean, these look pretty plain, but when you have it on the edge of a journal, let's see if I can find one here. Let's take one and just, I can show you, give you a better look here. Okay. So that's a better idea. Let's see. There we go. So you can get a better idea, and this will probably be inside the cover a bit more, or I'm not sure. Again, I haven't quite decided. So I'm just going to continue decorating a couple like that, and I'll probably just unfold this, let it sit there. I'm thinking of also adding an eyelet, so I'm going to take this fabric. Now when I'm not filming, I'm going to go through and do like all 30 in this pile and all 30 in this pile, and I'm not decorating all of them, but that's how I work. However, for the sake of this video, I'm not going to do that on video because that would just take forever and I work a lot quicker off camera. So we'll just decorate a few more. I'm going to grab my crocodile here. I thought it might look kind of cute to put an eyelet at the edge, and then what I can do is hang a little bulb pin off the edge as well with maybe a charm or something like that. So I have it folded in half. I don't think I had it lined up very well. It's kind of hard looking through the viewfinder, to be quite honest. Okay, that's better. It's not super perfect, but that's okay. I think that it would actually work a lot better on one of the cotton type fabrics. This one's silky and it kind of like moves around a bit, but that's okay. Anyways, so let's go ahead and see. I feel like this is super time consuming to do like random little designs, because for me, when I get an idea and then I do a bunch of the same thing, it's just so much quicker. But so I'm going to take my little bulb pin now, just place it through. And actually maybe I'll put a little bell, because I love having a little jingle on different journals. Oh, I haven't made boho beads in such a long time. Okay, and that's gonna be just the cutest little thing hanging off a page. So there's that one. We have all kinds of things in here also that we can decorate with, like charms, and just trying to look. Actually, maybe with a few of them, I'm going to take a bulb pin and a bell again, but on this one, oh, another thing would be some brads. Okay, so I had a couple ideas here. Let's set this away. Step away from the something. Okay, let's take, I'm going to bring this pile over here so you can see what I'm doing. There we go. I'm going to again fold it in half this time. I'm going to take an awl and just poke a hole in kind of a random spot. And for this one, I'm just going to place a little bell on my bulb pin. This one will just stick through. Probably didn't need to pre-poke a hole because the bulb pin is sharp on its own, but that's okay. Made it easy. There we go. So actually I love that idea, and that's something that is actually going to be a little bit less time consuming, but it still has a great effect. But then the other thing I'm thinking is, let's take another piece. Let's take one of the muslin pieces, and this is kind of a smaller one, but I'm gonna, I always fold them in half. And if you wanted to pre-sew these in half or something like that, you can, but I just prefer to sew them straight onto the pages. So for this one, I am gonna poke a hole so that I can put a little brad through. And I mean, you're gonna see the back prongs, and actually I could probably put those prongs through, not both layers, that would be smart. So I just actually pulled the folded part apart so that I can put the prong on the inside of the tab. That makes a lot more sense. The other thing that I like to do is decorate them with maybe small pieces of ephemera. And so for instance, I'm going to take this small piece of lace, again, fold it in half. You could add a ton of layers if you wanted, but I'm probably not going to for this round. But I will go through and find some little tiny ephemera pieces, like tiny little stamps or labels. And again, when I'm working on this pile, I will go ahead and I would go through and pull out a ton of small pieces of ephemera and then do all of these together. And I think this one would look actually cute with some layers, like I was saying. So I'm going to take just a little scrap piece of lace, even though it's already lace. I'm going to place this little butterfly there, staple this one. There we go. And then now when you have it folded in half, you'll have a cute little butterfly peeking out. So I like that idea. These can get really time consuming, but they could be super duper cute and you can totally deck them out. Okay, so I will be working on those kind of off camera to finish up, but I thought we could go ahead and make one more tassel together. If you're able to see, I have most of the tassels done, but I thought I'll just do one with you. Also, so that I can mention, I used to purchase these bags of lace a long time ago and I just absolutely love them. And I wanted to just bring it up again because I actually got back in contact with the company who sells these, and they're called lace remnants. So you're gonna get, I'll put the link below where you can get them, but basically it's gonna be just tons of different lace pieces. Some of them are long, some of them are short. One of the bags I got is like Christmas themed, so I'm pretty sure that when you're purchasing them, you can choose what theme or what colors you want. I can't remember on that for sure, but I'm almost certain. And so, whoops, I'm gonna go ahead and right now I'm just pulling out a bunch of different lace colors that I want to use. So I'm wanting this one to match the journal that I'm working on right now. Let me give you a peek because it's absolutely adorable. And so I'm actually going to also cut a few strips of the same fabric. And I want the strips to be pretty thin, like 1/4 of an inch. And if you're wondering the length that I like, it's probably about 6 inches. I don't want these tassels to be very long, but it's always different. It just depends really on the length of journal that I'm working on. And I'm not gonna go overboard with fabric on this one, but I'm basically just ripping off strips because I do want the strips to be somewhat messy. I just like that. Okay, so that's good, just a few, honestly. And then I'm going to, I have such a mess going on here. Then I'll go through the lace colors that I chose, and I'm just like quickly measuring by placing them alongside the measured out fabric strips. And again, when I am actually working on the tassels off camera, I'm doing just a bunch of trimming the lace, and then I make them all at once. It's just so much quicker to do an assembly line, but it's just impossible. I'd be filming for hours if I were going to be filming that. So I know I'm a little off screen here, but I just don't have a lot of room to be working with here. So I'm just gonna trim down a few more. And then I also want to trim a few, or I don't know, probably like 10 pieces of embroidery floss that's white color. I like to include this so that I can easily add on beads if I want. And I like the look of it, to be quite honest, so I'm just kind of eyeballing the size there. I need to order some more of that. And then I'm going to be using one of these open rings that I got from Amazon. The pink ones are so cute. So now I'm just gonna start taking random pieces of the lace and trims from my pile here, and I'm just basically draping it over my hand so that it's basically folding in half. And I'm just kind of randomly pulling so that there's a good variation of textures and colors in here. You can't really go wrong, especially if you've already kind of pre-planned what colors and laces you want to be in your tassel. And I'm just gonna do this until I'm happy with the amount. Sometimes I'll make these a little chunkier than times, but these ones I didn't want to be too chunky. And then I'm also, you know, adding in the embroidery floss kind of randomly so that, again, if I want to add beads to it, they will be randomly placed throughout. And I'll just finish off with a couple strips of fabric because those are so cute. All right. Maybe a couple more strings. So I have a little bit extra there I'll place on the side. And now what I like to do is kind of scrunch it together, kind of holding it in the middle. And I'm gonna take my jump ring and I'm gonna have it open. Maybe it's called an open ring. I always forget, to be quite honest. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm still holding with my hand. I'm gonna shut this just so that everything's kind of placed exactly where I want it. But I'm also going to lay this down now, still holding it in half. And I'm going to flip up one side here. I'm going to take my hot glue gun, and this is not necessary. I don't always do this, but this is going to help ensure that none of these pieces of lace will be able to get pulled through. And to be honest, I don't ever really think I've had that happen, but I have it here. It's just going to be a little bit of extra security. I pull some of the layers down, and now I'm just going to do that one more time. This lace is actually pretty thin, so I probably could have just done one layer of glue, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to make sure I'm not going to burn myself, but now again I'm going to pinch that all together. And then I'm going to take some more embroidery floss, like a pretty big piece of it. I don't measure, but gosh, I don't know, probably a couple feet or something like that. And I am going to, first of all, just tie a knot around kind of like the top part of the tassel. So I'm just kind of holding that down with my hand. I'm going to do a double knot. I mean, and you can do this wherever you want, whatever you think looks good, but I like to do it pretty close to the top here. Now I'm going to keep my eye on this smaller tail end. I'm taking the longer side now, and I'm just going to wrap this around. Once I'm happy with the embroidery floss around, I'm going to take that smaller tail and the longer tail now, and I'm going to do another double knot to secure this. You can either like trim that smaller tail or hide it, but I don't mind having that. And then this longer tail I need to definitely trim. And now if you want, you can also take some lace or fabric or whatever you want to cover this part. And I don't usually do that, but I honestly kind of like how that looks. So why not do it while we're here so you can just see what that looks like. But I'm gonna take my glue gun again. Do just a little daub of hot glue gun. Gosh, I'm so glad that glue gun has a little platform to stand on because that helps so much. Try not to burn my finger. Bring it all the way around. And actually, I almost didn't need to add another dollop, but okay, sorry, one sec. Okay, I'm gonna add another piece of glue. There we go. Love that. Love that. So pretty. And now if you want, you can add beads. I'm not going to do that right now because I'm just not at the point, and I don't know for sure if I'm adding beads to these ones. I don't really know. I kind of like them just with lace. And now you can either trim all of your pieces to be the same size. You could have probably taken care of that while you're making it, to be honest. I like kind of the random pieces sizes, I should say. And so now I'll just show you what it looks like on our ring fastener. You can add all kinds of things to these, really. You can add buttons, charms. So I definitely think that was a good length, and I think it's so cute how it has the matching fabric. I don't always do matchy-matchy, but I love that. So I hope that was helpful to you guys in some way, and I gotta get back to working in assembly line style with no camera so I can get this done. Getting really close. The next step is I'm going to be adding all of the decorated pages into the journals along with the tabs. I may also do some lace. I really just haven't decided. And then it will be time to bind. But that's all still going to probably take at least a week or so. I will see you guys later. Bye.